Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of RV with the Tanners. Hey, today I'm excited about putting a camera assist solution on my friend's RV. If you remember the other video that I did for the camera solution we put on our RV, I'll put a link to it up here. I was contacted by HaloView to do another review on their camera, but I did not want to take my camera off of my RV. Fortunately enough, a buddy of mine had just purchased a new RV. It's behind me here. So I talked to HaloView and I said, hey, if you send me this camera solution, is it okay if I put it on my friend's RV? And they were okay with that. So today we're going to walk through putting this 3-camera solution on his RV. So don't think I've actually sold our RV because it looks different behind me. It is a different RV because it's my friend's RV. So we're going to walk through the install process. He has a, I think it's a Lippert camera already on the RV, but only one camera in the back. And he wanted the solution from HaloView that had the 2 side cameras going down as well, and it's a little bit bigger display inside of his cab of his truck. So that'll be a good upgrade for him. I've kind of laid out the parts here for you, and we'll walk through them, and then we'll do the install video. It shouldn't be that hard. And again, this is a 12-volt install, so it's not like 110 power in your house, so it's not as difficult. Here's the camera itself that goes on the back of the RV. So what it's going to do is either A, replace your existing tail light that's up above, or you just tap into it. In this situation, what we're going to do with Greg's is just come down below his existing tail light, so that'll stay there, and then we're going to put this in place. He'll have his camera and then an additional tail light. With this solution, they have a transmitter then that sends the signal from the 3 cameras, the rear and the 2 sides, up to the cab. And how they do that is with a long cable. So this cable will connect to the rear camera. They're all here. We'll show you a little bit more on that. And then that runs along the top of the RV to the front to this transmitter. And then that transmitter then, again, takes the signal from the rear camera and the 2 side cameras and then sends that to the front of the RV for the display. Speaking of the display, here it is. So here's the display. I've got the antenna down, but you can move it around however you want inside your truck. Usually with the windshield, you're probably going to have to angle it a little bit forward to get away from the angle of the truck. It's windshield. The display itself has the option of mounting it in 2 different ways. The first one is more of a hard mount kit that you would mount the display down, and then you would drill it down into your dash, and then it has a cover that goes over that, and then it can rotate forward and back. The nice thing about this one is it actually has like a sunshade, so if you're getting light in, it won't cast display, it won't cast sunlight onto the display and to make it difficult to see. So that's the benefit of this one. The negative of that is you have to drill into your dab of your cab, and I don't think that's actually the best solution. So they also include this other solution, more of like a grip mount, and what it does, it just simply slides into the back of the display, and then it can hold that. So you have 2 options. You can either put it on the windshield of your truck, or you can put it on the front of your truck, maybe around where your steering wheel is, or over in a corner, over by maybe where your passenger is, so maybe they could watch it instead of you as the driver. So it's very flexible and an easy solution to get around. And this moves around. You get a one-time use. It comes with some 3M sticky back here. So find a good place and then use it that way. The side cameras are also shown here. So there's 2 of them, one for the left and one for the right. They also come with antennas. I'm probably going to recommend, Greg and I are going to try this. I'm going to put the antennas down so the air doesn't push them one way or another. The nice thing about this HaloView side camera that mine does not is it actually rotates in and out. Mine is fixed on the Lippert camera, so the Greg now has the option to rotate these a little bit more in and out depending on what the angle is going down the side of his RV. So I think that's a nice upgrade that Halo has done over what the Lippert camera has done, and we'll talk about the positive and negatives of each, and you can make a decision which is best for you. And again, here's the other one. It does come with a manual, and as before, I don't know why you need that because you're watching me. Now, powering up the camera itself, the display. You can either hardwire the display into your truck, so it comes with a 12-volt connection here, red and black, and then it would power the display. Or if you want to make it easier on yourself, I don't like these solutions because the cable gets in the way and it's just one more thing in the cab of the truck. But if you want to and you don't want to hardwire it, it does come with a 12-volt adapter, and then you would just plug it into your cigarette lighter and then plug into your camera and then power it that way. The neat thing about this is you can actually there's an on and off button, so you can just turn it on and off as needed. You could leave it into your 12-volt power if you'd like. Some of them, like on the front of our truck, there's actually up on the top there's an embedded area where we can plug in like a MP3 player and stuff like that. It has a 12-volt up there, so I could put that in there, but I just prefer hardwired. It's just more beneficial to me. the final wiring bundle that they give you here, this is it's a lot of wires. And it's a little daunting when you first open the case and you're like, what is all this? It is a special purpose. We're not going to do it. I've talked it over with Greg, but they give you this wiring harness so that the camera itself can turn specifically to the lane the camera you want to use. For example, you're driving down the road and you have this wired properly. If you hit the turn signal to turn left, you move over, the camera then rotates just to that camera, so on the side. So if you turn it in one lane, the camera would rotate, and then it would be the full display on your display here of just that camera, which I think is really cool if you wanted to do that, because once you want to start to move over lanes, and you've got an RV that's 30, 40 feet long, that's a long maneuver in order to move over. So you hit that blinker, and then all of a sudden this camera is a full display of what's in that opposite lane. Pretty strong value there. I might talk Greg into actually installing this down the road because I think it's pretty cool. Otherwise, what you have is the display of the rear camera will take a third or half of the display, and then each rear left and right camera will be in the bottom. And you can rotate through that if you prefer to have the passenger side camera up on top. You can do that as well and have the rear in the bottom. Personally, I like having a little more view of what's happening beside or behind me, and then have the two smaller cameras in the bottom. So that's a display or information on what actually comes out of the box. Next, we're going to start installing this. So we're going to have Greg go up on a ladder, and he's going to remove his existing camera in the back. We'll video that, and then we'll put the two on the side, and then we'll put a little bit more information together for you on how we did that and some of the wiring techniques. Okay, so Grace got the camera out. You can see there's a bunch of that sticky tape. We got to get that all cleaned off, use some alcohol to clear that off, because we're going to put the next one back up there. And then we're going to take a look and see if that existing cable can power up the Halo camera, or if we just need to tap into that. Again, it's just 12 volt power, so it should be pretty simple. All right, so Grace got the other camera off. I want to give you a quick peek back here, close up. So if you take a look at the wiring, we've got the wiring that goes up over the top of the RV. So we've got two there. We've got a power, and then, or this one's the power, and then we have the actual antenna run. But the wiring we're going to do on the rear of the RV, they've made it actually rather nice. So there's 4 wires coming out, and if you guys ever wired something in the RV, it's always tricky. You're like, which one's which? I got red, white, and RVs don't really follow any kind of standard. But fortunately, what Halo has done is created a little label on here, and it actually says GND for ground. So we've got 2 wires going to ground, and then the other ones are labeled DC12. So we've got red and a black, again, different colors, but we've got the power. And what that's doing is one is powering the camera, and the other one is actually powering the taillight. You're going to put your backer plate on first. It's going to look a little weird, but there's 4 little screw holes here. You're going to need to pop off faceplate on the rear camera to expose the areas where you're going to actually screw the camera to the plate on the back. So the plate gets screwed into the trailer, pop off the lens cover, and then you'll see the screw hole areas where you attach the camera to the faceplate. Not hard, just a little difficult if you don't really pay attention to popping this off. One last little bit of knowledge here is, if you think you're going to put your screwdriver in there and pop this plate off, don't do that. That's not the right way. It's actually just a little bit above that where the lens cover comes off. Okay, so we've got the camera installed, we've got it mounted, and you can see it's kind of a mess. I'll give you a close-up shot in a second. But what we did is we wanted to test it before we actually drilled it or attached it all the way, put the faceplate cover back on. We wanted to actually test it. So I'm going to run up to the front of the truck and show you the image resolution now, while Greg go ahead and finish that, because we know it worked. All right. Well, there's Greg working on it, but you can see now it's crystal clear. We're all working. And that's way back that way. And to top that off, we haven't even put the antenna to the front of the RV yet. So it's all the way at the back. the broadcast antenna. So from the very back, we're getting a great signal to the front of the truck. So when we put it up to the front on top of the RV, it's going to be even a better signal. This thing's awesome. So moving on to the side cameras. I've already popped off the lens cover. They've got the similar pattern here. Once you open up the lens cover, you can put the screw holes in. To mount it, take a second and restrip these wires. They do a good job still of labeling these. So they've got ground and they've got the power separated from one another, but it's such a tiny little opening that they did on this wire, stripping it. So we're going to strip it back a little bit, put them all together, and then attach it to the RV. It just makes more sense to have a little bit. I don't know why this is just like a 1/4 of an inch, which isn't enough. So do yourself a favor, strip it back a little bit, combine these together before you get up there and you start attaching it to the RV. Okay, so we're installing the side cameras right now, and rather than to use the power that Greg has on his RV down at the bottom where the taillight is, we've decided to raise them up higher, but he didn't have power there, so we're stealing power from the top driving light, and then we had to drill a hole, and then he's putting the wire in right now. But I'm gonna give you a close-up shot of that. It's just an option for people if they don't want the cameras down low. If you have running lights on the bottom of your RV, we thought it'd be better up higher, so we had to do a little wiring customization. We're now putting the antenna on, the last part of the installation. So coming up from the back of the camera, we've got the cable coming, and rather than to run all the way to the front, what we did is we stopped here at the air conditioner. We took the shroud off of the air conditioner and put all the extra cable inside the air conditioner and used the plumber strap. That's Greg's idea. Quick thumbs up there. So it's all nice and protected here. It's not going to go anywhere. And then we used 2 of their tie-down straps to make sure that it doesn't rub on the metal, so the cable is protected. And then what we're going to do is put the antenna on the front of the shroud, and we should be done. Alright, so here we go. Final shot. Antenna on the AC shroud. Rocking back to the back. Cable goes back. Quick connect there from the rear camera. Off to the rear camera. So we've got all 3 cameras installed, both sides and the rear, and now we're in the cab of Greg's truck. And what he's done is taken a couple of rubber bands temporarily and mounted it to his rearview mirror, which I think is great because now it's not on his dash. He doesn't have to worry about it. He's going to look into making a 3D printed version of a device that fits there. If I can find it in time before I publish this video, I'll go ahead and give you guys a link to it down below. But what we can see right now is we've got the rear view, see a little bit of his garage, and then we've got the left and right of the trailer. And now we're going to go for a quick drive and record and show you how well this works. Alright, so we're rolling down the freeway at 55 miles an hour. Here's the camera view. Everything is working great. I think Greg's pretty impressed with being able to see cars coming from way up back here. Here comes one here. And then you'll see him come into the side. Here he left the rear, he's coming up the side now. And there he is. That's great. I don't know if I'm in focus, so clearly that's a great advantage to driving. You can see the guys coming from the rear and up the side of your vehicle, and then as soon as they come off the camera, they're basically in their driver's window. Hey there folks, that's about a wrap to this video. Just some closing thoughts. First off, of course, I was joking about throwing the manual away. Please do yourself a favor and read through that manual. There's a lot of great information in there. Of course, the video will help, but the manual is key to getting yourself successful in installing this device. Some highlights. So one thing in the display of this device is that spot to put an SD card. This is a game changer, and Furion should get on board here because this is really nice. It records all 3 cameras independently. So when you looked at the video when Greg and I were going down the road, you saw the 3 different videos. The rear camera was on top, and the 2 side cameras accordingly on the sides on the bottom. But it records all 3 files independently. That is awesome. So think about it if you're in your RV and you're stopped and you get rear-ended. A lot of people don't have a dash cam, quote-unquote dash cam, for the back of their RV. That's awesome. You could also put a special plug in your umbilical cord on your RV so that it sends power back to the taillights. So you could actually use this device as a security camera system for your RV. Greg had a 64 gigabyte card in in his display, and that will record 72 hours of drive time, or 72 hours in your RV park. That's plenty of time to know that if it's going to rewrite over itself, you need to save the file. You can set it up either way so that it just stops recording at 72 hours, or that it starts to loop, so that after your memory card gets full, it just starts overwriting the oldest file. That's how I do it on my dash cam, and I think it works really, really well. The only thing negative that I could say for this device from HaloView is the two side cameras have antennas coming up on them. I don't have antennas on the Furrion version, and I think it's cleaner and it just looks better. Fortunately, here's a picture here I'll pop up of Greg's. The way we lined it up is the antenna just kind of goes right up one of the seams in his RV, so you don't even really see it. If it was down below, I think that's how it's intended from HaloView, is, you know, on the bottom of the RV. It could get in the way. You could bump into it as you're walking past. You might want to tip it down. Up could be in the way depending on how your RV is laid out. But I highly recommend that you try to get it up higher like that, because you can get a nice tops down view of the traffic coming at you, and I think that's really nice. I really like the SD card so that I could record those. I'll pop up real quickly a view of each one as we go down the road. It's really neat, really a game changer to have the ability to have all three cameras record independent files of their view. Really cool. Great job, HaloView. I think you guys really hit the nail on the head on that one. If you have any questions, please put them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And thanks for watching. Bye. So if you haven't done so yet, please remember to hit the subscribe button and then hit the little bell so that it reminds you when we post new videos.